Hi, I'm Radiance. Welcome to my channel. Now, when I'm in the kitchen, which is the other side of this channel, you'll find me creating delicious recipes that are simplistic and foodie inspired, and just full of flavor. And I like to, take a spin at health, but in a way that's fun as well. But on this side, you'll find me having discussions about things like food and life, and inspiration. And today I want to talk to you about how do you find inspiration, in cooking and preparation. And that could be just for the day to day, and that could be if you've lost some inspiration, and you feel like, because we all have those moments. I know I do. And I love cooking. It is my passion. I love food. But there are times when I'm kind of a little uninspired or I don't really know what to do. So I'm going to share with you, where I would, suggest you can get inspiration from and where I draw inspiration from. So first thing, how about creating a new recipe or cooking a new recipe? Now, you can find it in many ways. You can, find it in a cookbook. You can find it on a blog. You can find it in a magazine. I used to love to go to bookstores like Barnes and Noble, and I would go into the cookbook section, and I would just take down a bunch of cookbooks, and I would take out like Gourmet Magazine and all these different food magazines, and I would sit on the floor and gather the books and magazines around me, and I would read them, and I would comb through them, and I would actually like look at different things, and just find things interesting. I remember one time I don't remember what magazine it was, but I can clearly see this picture of a cornucopia, and basically it was like, bread-shaped cornucopia with, like vibrant fall vegetables. I never had a chance to make it yet, but as you can see, it stuck in my mind. It was a beautifully, presented recipe and such a creative idea. So yeah, try to cook something new. Challenge yourself to maybe make something that is outside of your comfort zone or outside of something you're used to. Maybe something that is from a different culture or a different type of recipe. For example, if you are, really good at cooking steak and fish, or maybe you're really good at cooking, a vegetable dish, or you're a plant-based wizard, maybe you can actually try to, bake something, make a cake, and challenge yourself, even if you're not a baker, to make something like that. Or you can even take a simple recipe and start from there, and then start to grow, your expertise in that. Perhaps practice something like plating or, a knife cut or something like that, and bone up on your actual skills in terms of in the kitchen and some starter things, right? The other tip I would give you is to invest. Maybe invest in a new piece of equipment or a new tool. I think I mentioned this before, but when I was younger, when I was a kid, a lot of kids love like, Barbies and toys and things of that nature. And I play with those things. But one of the favorite things I love to do was go on cooking.com. I love the different, tools and utensils and cooking tools. And they still excite me to this day. I still love new equipment. I still love, finding new kitchen gadgets. That's fun to me. That's where I draw some fun from and inspiration. So, I would say try that as well. Another tip is to try hands-on class, go online, look in your local, maybe online groups, meetup groups or Facebook groups, Google around and see, maybe there's some hands-on classes, and it could be for something you've never done. Maybe take a bread class, learn how to make breads hand-on, learn how to, braise something. I've got a good one. If maybe you can't find that hands-on class yet, maybe you can find something online. Now, I'll preface it by saying this. I'm a hands-on learner. If you're a hands-on learner, I would try your best to do that first. And I say it because I once tried to take a couple of classes online, and I fare better just doing it myself. It wasn't the best way or modality for me to learn, but that's just me. How about involving children? It could be your children, maybe it could be your nieces or nephews or cousins, or maybe, your friends have, some children or some other family members that are children, involve the children. And maybe in you teaching them, that will help you to inspire. It also lets you see from their lens, like how things can be fantastic and wonderful. And we think it's just so simple and just every day, but make it exciting for them. And maybe it also would inspire you to get creative to help them to make some things that will wow them and challenge your skills, right? How about cooking with your friends? Cooking with the ones you love, right? Maybe getting in the kitchen with a partner or some people, right? Getting a few drinks, making some drinks together, putting together a menu, putting together something simple. Maybe everyone has, a part of the meal they're responsible for, or you come together and, two of you, if it's a bunch of friends, are in charge of making the dessert, and two of you are involved in making the appetizer and so forth and so on. So maybe just, getting in the kitchen with some friends or the ones you love, that could be inspiring. What's also inspiring, I find, is, visiting a farmer's market, right? Now, I don't know where your local farmer's market is. Perhaps it's far, but whether it's near or far, take a road trip, And better yet, if you can't find a farmer's market in your area, maybe you can find a farm. I used to work for a dairy farm. Yes, even though I'm not a dairy drinker, and even back then I wasn't big on dairy, I used to work for a dairy farm, and I worked at a local farmer's market. And I would get up, I did it for almost 3 years every Saturday, and I would get up in the cold, and I don't like the cold, but I would get up in the cold and go out there, and I would, sell it. And they had some of the best dairy on the East Coast, and they supplied some big vendors and people, that are known in the food world. So, it was amazing to be a part of that. But I say it because while I was there working, when I would leave, I would collect these organic vegetables, and I would get to see vegetables and fruits sometimes that I've never seen. I even got to try cheeses that were amazing, and to this day that is still staying in my memory, that I would have otherwise maybe not tried unless I was visiting that farmer's market. And there were other farmers markets in my same city that, like I worked a different one Saturday, and I got to, experience different farmers and was able to actually get some inspiration, Sometimes I'd see a different mushroom I'd never seen, or, maybe a fruit or vegetable that I'd never thought to use or have never used, but it inspired me to figure out how to do it. I haven't had a scallop in a very long time, but I actually learned how to cook a scallop from working in a farmer's market. They had demonstrations at the fishmonger, the fish tent, and I had had a scallop before. I didn't think I liked them because I was like, oh, this is too rubbery. And it was, believe it or not, the butter that I sold at the dairy farm I worked for, and the scallops from the local fishermen, them giving me a demonstration that taught me how to cook scallops. And from then on, I knew how to cook them. Like I said, I haven't had them in a long time, but it was a learning lesson. And so maybe it can be for you as well, getting to know your local farmers. And like I said, if you can't find one at your local farmer's market, venture out to a farm, because some farms actually do tours. Call ahead, email, see if you can set up a tour, and maybe you can get a, look and see how they produce things and get a tour, maybe get a taste, right? How about planting your own garden? Now, I don't mean you have to have a big greenhouse or a big backyard, but there's some things, and you would have to look into that. There's some, produce, some fruits and vegetables that you can actually grow in a smaller space. You can grow indoor. Look into that. Maybe even just some herbs. You can find an herb garden. You can actually have an herb garden indoors, and there's, even ways to preserve that indoors online. I found different pods and really nice accessories to do that. So yeah, planting your own garden, growing your own garden, an herb garden would be good. And maybe you can take some of the herbs that you grow in your herb garden and use it in your new dishes, use it in like a sangria, or use it, with some veggies, use it in a mash, use it as, garnish for your next meal. The other thing that I draw inspiration from is sometimes my whims and my cravings. I know, my whims and my cravings. So when I say whim, like sometimes I'm just thinking about, oh, how about I want some tacos, or how about I want, some pizza, or I'm really craving some chocolate, or I'm really craving something like salty and umami, and layered. So sometimes I draw inspiration just simply from, like that craving or that taste or something I want. That's what I draw it from, so I would say, what are you craving today? What are you feeling like? And oftentimes I've actually, had a craving for something and, was lucky enough to either have it in my cabinet or I would order the ingredients online, and I was able to create something that was much even better than what I would have thought to create or even got from a restaurant, and I made it in my own home and it was that much better, so I would say that I would tag onto the farmer's market, and you can do it even at a grocery store. What's in season, right? What's in season? I love stone fruit, plums and peaches. I love the summertime in fruits, but it's not summertime yet, at least at this moment as I'm shooting this video. But when it is that time, since it's one of my favorite seasons, I will get the berries. I eat watermelon a ton. I'll make watermelon juice and drinks. I eat berries a ton. I love sweet berries. I love fruit salads with berries, and sometimes I'll put a romaine lettuce in it and a little bit of fresh. Okay, so my battery died. It cut off. What I was basically saying is that, I've drawn inspiration from just whims and cravings, something came into my brain on a whim, like I said, I want a pizza, I want, a burger, I want something. And I've been able to sometimes make things that much better by, with my own heart and love, right? How I also draw inspiration from cooking shows. Now, I've been watching cooking shows for a long time, and they still give me, I still love them. I think I love the competition aspect of it. But honestly, from behind the competition and, the personalities and all the things that are on these cooking shows, I draw a lot of inspiration of recipes and ideas, and sometimes I look at, like a recipe or something that's made and I'm like, I never thought of pairing that with that. Or I never thought about, that I can do this with this particular ingredient. Or maybe I can take that ingredient that's put into a savory application and put it into a dessert, into something sweet, or vice versa, right? So that is what, has given me inspiration, watching others cook, sometimes in competition, and even watching other creators here, on this platform, has definitely given me some great inspiration. And, looking at blogs as well has given me inspiration. And sometimes I'll actually look at someone's recipe and I love the recipe, but I will, if it's not plant-based, I'll say, well, how can I make that plant-based? How can I elevate that? Sometimes I'll flip it. If something is chocolate, how can I make it strawberry or banana or blueberry? What other flavor can I make it? What other profile can I add to that? What other layer of complexity can I add to that recipe, right? And finally, what I go back to every time is my why. Why am I cooking, right? Now, sometimes for real, it's because I'm hungry. I'm hungry. But sometimes it's because it's not just about the hunger. Sometimes it's about that it's a way that I am nurturing and loving my family, right? By preparing something from my heart, from my hands, and, nurturing them through that. So that's sometimes my why. Now, maybe you have children. And your why is, you want to be able not just to nourish them, but you want to have time to spend with your children, right? You want to have time to spend with your loved ones. And so you preparing and cooking a meal or a dish or a snack or something, allows you to do that for them, to give that to them, but it also allows you, let's say they're in the kitchen with you, it allows them to be a part of that process, even if they're just watching you. And let's say they're not there until later on, until it's finished. You can then sit down together, with your loved ones and partake in what you've created, right? From your hands and from your heart. And so that would be what I would say would be the last thing that inspires me, that I can think to share with you. So I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, please like and share it. Subscribe to the channel for more inspiration as such and stories, as well as other, foodie inspired recipes that I share on this channel. And also click the link in my bio and join my free VIP group. Come on over and, join the discussion, join the community, join the fun, and there you'll see a lot more of my recipes in detail and other things I share, all right? So thank you so much for joining me. You have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.